I'm starting to see that my work is changing. I'm not using photographs. I may have pictures in my mind. I'm always seeing things. When I drive in the car, I'm taking my telephone out now, putting the window down and taking pictures of, you know, maybe snow on the ground or maybe a fabulous tree or a bird or whatever. So I think I'm much freer in this sense. The more I am able to do the kind of work that satisfies me, the more I'm looking into everything else about life to see if it satisfies me, or if it's just something I'm going along with because that's the way it always was. Suddenly, also, and I have to admit, the question of time and aging comes into this process, because, you know, those years, they just click off. And you can change, and anybody can do that. But it takes the willingness to be in kindergarten, if that's what it takes, if it's an artistic thing, if it's something else about, I'm sure there's people in the group who've been divorced. If it's something about getting a divorce, there's a lot of fear around that and what's coming afterwards, because you can't even see it. You don't even know. You don't even have a vision. But if you have to, in the end, trust yourself and your ability to survive, which is not to say it's going to turn out perfectly or the way you thought it might, but that's what we do in life. We just move along unless we stay stuck. And either one of those are decisions. I painted the painting that everyone paints down in Ephraim. You know, that big strip of land and this wonderful water, and over there's another one of those sister islands or something. Well, I painted it. It was really pretty. I said, this is ridiculous. I have better pictures of this. So I said, you know what? This is not what I feel like doing. And right then, I just took a brush with red paint on it and went over it. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And I'm not sure it shows that I was doing anything, except that this is emotional. When you see red on a painting like that, you're seeing emotion. And for me, it's raw emotion. So this was another rebellion against what is that many people do. This was a rebellion. And afterwards, I named it Journey. Sandra Place. Okay, I took one class with her, and I learned a lot. I learned more practical things from her, like the paper, and it was very practical. And she had photos that she passed out that everybody could use in their class, but I had a photograph of my own, and this was the view from my daughter Sharon's house or condo in Kiowa, South Carolina. But this was a painting, and I learned a lot in it. First of all, because of its size, you know, the size of the pastel paper was big. And I didn't know how they would work together, all these colors. And basically, I just went along. I think it was a 5-day session, and I finished it, and I was very happy with it, and I framed it and gave it to my daughter. So, yeah, I think it was a challenge now to go to do those trees like that. It's just straight sticks. But yet, in it, you can see the start of something that's in a lot of my paintings, which are the rushes and the marshes, because I just am enamored by them. They're so different colors at different times. I decided to do a series on those marshes in oil, and they were 20 by 30. And so it was spring marsh, because as I looked out of her window, over her window, you could see the marsh. This is another house now, not the same one as that one. So the marsh, how many of you are familiar with marshes?
A little.
So you know they change colors, and when the tide comes in, and they go to different heights, and different things stick out, and when the tide is low, birds actually come, and they're out there if you want to paint them, and they're eating. So that one, I did that one, and that one got into the Miller. And then the next year, I did, this is 2007, and this again is 20 by 30. It was sold. And this is Autumn Marsh. I'll pass this around so you can see. I'll pass them both around so you can see the difference. Now, it was never my intent to really copy one from the other, but I wanted the colors to give me a direction of this. Now, it's not realistic. It doesn't really look like a marsh. But what a marsh does look like, it's divided up into big and small. Water drips in here, and then there's rushes over here, and there's big water. It's just interesting phenomena. Because I have Lyme's disease and because I have some other problems, I had to stop painting with the regular oils after some difficulties. I now, from painting with the regular oils, I have lost my sense of smell, and that's for 10 years or maybe more, and I have this problem with my throat, which you can probably hear. Sometimes my voice is regular and sometimes it's not, because it's sort of, you would say like burned, but it's not burned, it's irritated, and there's nothing that can be done about these two things. I've been to doctors. So now I had to switch to this water-based oil, which I didn't paint for 4 months, and I cried, and I didn't think I'd ever paint again. But I did start up with this water, and these two are the water-based oils. That was, I think, the last oil, real oil I painted, because it was in February of that year, and then the doctor said not to paint until April of 4 months. I wasn't supposed to paint with oils. So this one is actually, when you come around in Bailey's Harbor, when you're coming up 57 and you're about to make this turn, this was in February, and I made the turn and I said, that's impossible, must be my sunglasses. The water can't be that turquoise.
It is.
So I went back the next day and it was. So I just put it down there, just the way it was. And so that's a favorite of mine. So now when you start seeing a lot of red and you start seeing things that don't make so much sense, you know I'm definitely on the right brain, not the left brain. And I'll tell you what I concluded about that too. This, I was something happened and I was extremely angry. So I only had one canvas in the house. So I put this one canvas, which I hated to use because it's expensive, it's big. But I just took this like house painter's brush and just started putting red all over this thing to get these emotions out. And then it sat for a while. Then I said, I think I'll go back and make something out of this. And I did this with no thought. This painting was no thought. And then when I looked at it when it was finished, see, I put colors on there, and I took this and I scraped them off, and then I just don't know what I was doing. And then after I finished it, it's a revelatory title, No Way Out. And I think you can see that in that. This is called Almost March. Because you know how it is when it's almost March.
Yeah.
And it's, down in Kiowa, it's a little warmer than we are, but it's still grayish, brownish, greenish. And so this was going to be that one. The water's not blue, the trees are gray, and that's why it's in this subdued palette. And this is the last one of these. And now my greatest fear when I was younger about painting was that I was going to take off somehow. Because if I got there, what you're saying, all intuitive, well, how could I possibly have the same life anymore? That fear held me back for years. I mean, I thought for sure I'd leave my kids, you know, I'd go off to some island someplace.
God only knows what we'd do
Right,
if we
right.
followed our own path.
Right, but it just,
Yeah.
it isn't real. It isn't real at all. What does it take to use the life we already have in order to make us wiser rather than more stuck? What is the source of wisdom at a personal, individual level? The answer to these questions seem to have to do with bringing everything that we encounter to the path. Everything naturally has a ground, a path, and fruition. That is like saying that everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But it is also said that the path itself is both the ground and the fruition. You know, when you hear people say it's the journey, that kind of thing. This path has one very distinctive characteristic. It is not prefabricated. It doesn't already exist. The path that we're talking about is the moment-by-moment evolution of our experience, the moment-by-moment evolution of the world of phenomena, the moment-by-moment evolution of our thoughts and emotions. The path is uncharted. It comes into existence moment by moment, and at the same time drops away from us. When we realize that the path is the goal, there's a sense of workability. Everything that occurs in our confused mind we can regard as the path. Everything is workable.
What's that from?
Very good.
It's from Comfortable with Uncertainty by Pema Chodron.